I was never invited. Stop joking. Mary threw that line at my face like dropping a stone. I stood at the bathroom door and saw the dress hanging behind it. She said it was a gift for next month. I touched the deep red gown, the tag still attached. She said she was going to help her mom fix the garage, her voice quiet. I did not argue, just nodded. The phone screen lit up. I quietly sent a message. Lisa replied fast, her words carrying a smile. She told me Mary had already confirmed attendance. My head sank when I saw those words. Lisa invited me to be her partner. I agreed simply and firmly. Mary kissed me before she left. She said she would stay at her mom's for 2 days. I watched her leave with her suitcase. The garage excuse sounded reasonable. I put on my suit and prepared for the wedding. Lisa waited at the entrance in a green dress. She smiled, handed me a name tag, said ready. I nodded, adjusted the edge of my tie. During the ceremony, the guests were silent, flowers aligned. From the second row I spotted Mary. She sat in the third row, her eyes red and swollen. The photographer caught her expression in that instant. Lisa pulled me gently toward the reception area. I stepped into the crowd, lifted my glass, and greeted people. Mary moved through the guests, smiling a little too hard. Her phone kept lighting up with messages. Lisa waved when she saw her. I walked over, introduced myself as her partner. Mary froze, her face turning from pale to red. She stammered, then tried to stay calm. I looked straight at her, my voice steady and clear. I asked why she lied. She questioned my motive. The eyes around us began to gather. Kevin came over, asking if everything was okay. I smiled politely and said yes. He looked awkward and left quickly. Mary tried to settle things privately. Lisa interrupted, pointing out the details. I took out my phone, showed the confirmation message. Mary's excuses sounded weak in front of the guests. Her voice trembled, but she kept arguing. I said the final breakup words. She screamed, begging me to take her back. Guests started whispering, the air turned tense. The photographer pressed the shutter again, capturing the moment. I did not leave, just stood nearby. She picked up my coat, threw it at my door. I said nothing, just closed it. Next morning her messages came flooding in. I chose not to reply. She still did not stop. Lisa sent me photos from the wedding. She marked the one showing Mary's expression. I saved that photo in my phone under her name. Mary posted provocative things online. I clarified the facts briefly among friends. Kevin messaged to apologize and support me. Mary's mother called to apologize. I answered calmly and politely. Her explanations kept falling apart. By Monday morning, screenshots were spreading in work chats. That shocking photo was forwarded many times. I did not push it, just stayed silent. Mary tried to defend herself online. Lisa organized all the evidence. When I saw it, I knew everything was verifiable. Mary's counterattack failed publicly. Her professional contacts began to question her. Friends messaged me, curious and concerned. Lisa invited me to be her partner again next month. I said yes with a trace of irony. Mary's calls kept lighting up my phone at night. I muted it, ate breakfast, read the news. Photos and chats were spreading fast. Her explanations looked empty to the public. Her messages got reported. Her reputation took its first hit. Kevin thanked me again. Lisa smiled calmly beside me. She said we did the right thing. I nodded, said nothing. Mary's friends defended her online. I replied with one factual line. Her actions started having real consequences. She lost clients and trust. She moved back to her parents' house. Life changed. Lisa and I kept in touch and dated simply. She showed me new photos at coffee shops. I saved all the emails and messages from that night. Mary tried once more to talk privately. I replied just one line, don't contact me again. Her world collapsed fast. I stood by the window watching people pass. Lisa texted inviting me to a 5 o'clock exhibit. I shut my laptop, grabbed my coat, and left. Later, I moved back to my old apartment. The room was bare, boxes still unopened. I rebuilt my routine, waking early, running, working, cooking. Mary never showed up again. Mutual friends mentioned her sometimes. Some said she lost clients, some said she deleted her account. Lisa sent me funny updates from work. Sometimes she mentioned the wedding aftermath. We both acted casual, avoided the topic. Once in a while she sent that same wedding photo. Mary's face still vivid, a private joke among friends. I did not share it, just kept it. Not revenge, just memory. That day's details stuck like pins in my mind. Her smile, her panic, her shame. I started new projects, work got busier. The new manager demanded late nights. I sat under the lamp, the screen reflecting my face. Lisa called, asked if I was done. I leaned back, tired, almost finished, I said. She laughed, said she was ordering food. I heard the plastic bag crinkle. That small sound made me relax. We talked more often on weekends. Coffee, walks, grocery shopping, simple and calm. Mary's name appeared sometimes in feeds. Selfies with motivational quotes. Blessings mixed with sarcasm. I did not open them, I could guess the tone. One night Lisa asked if she came back, what would you do? I said I would not respond. Lisa nodded, silent. She leaned on the couch watching me. The lights were soft, her finger tapping the cup. The sound small, steady, comforting. Days later I got an email from Mary. Subject line, just wanted to explain. I did not open it, sent it to trash. It came back from the recycle folder. Her words grew desperate. From questions to begging. I was just scared to lose you. I know I was wrong. I gave no reply. The emotion was gone. I cared more about the present. The quiet days with Lisa. One afternoon she invited me to the park. She brought sandwiches she made herself. The wind light, the sun gentle. We ate in silence. She asked, do you hate her? I shook my head, no. Do you regret it? No. She smiled, said you're calmer than I thought. I said I finally see things clearly. She smiled, handed me strawberry cake. Weeks later at a work party someone mentioned Mary. Said she embarrassed herself in front of clients. Challenged for honesty during a speech. That night I opened my window. The wind cooled, damp from the dark. City lights flickered far away. It all felt like someone else's story. Lisa texted, my mom's garage really broke, want to help? I said sure, but don't wear that red dress. She laughed, that dress is her trademark. I said that night she already lost. Lisa sent a laughing emoji. You're brutal, she said. My life slowly mended. No longer stuck on old wounds. No longer proving anything. I cleaned my place, changed the sheets. Mary's number stayed blocked. But she kept trying new ways to reach me. Unknown numbers, fake accounts, same tone. I recognized it instantly. Lisa told me to ignore. I said I know? She asked, really over it? This time I said yes. We planned a beach trip. Peaceful, no reason, just living. I drove, she sat beside me. Sunlight on her hair. She wore sunglasses, her face relaxed. The scenery flashed by. We never mentioned the past. At the beach she took off her shoes, walked barefoot. The waves brushed her ankles. She turned back and shouted, "This is real life." I smiled, said nothing. The wind blew through her hair, carrying away every shadow. In that moment, everything felt worth it. Later, we really fixed her mom's garage door. Paint on my hands, towel in hers. We laughed like ordinary people. She said, "Wish that day ended sooner." I said it already ended that day. She paused, then smiled. That was also the beginning. I nodded, no explanation needed. Because she was right. Life was finally back to normal. I was no longer the deceived one. I was someone in control. I sorted the photos from that day. Mary staring at her phone, trembling. I saved every screenshot in one folder. Lisa handed me a glass of wine. I added timestamps and notes. Kevin sat in the corner raising his brow. I listed her lies by date. The photographer sent me the originals. I compared them side by side. Friends chatted, messages spreading. I sent the files to mutual friends. Mary begged again. I stayed silent, only liked a message. Lisa leaned on my shoulder smiling. Kevin walked over, whispered sorry. I replied politely. The photographer gave more raw shots. Friends turned them into memes. I built a timeline of proof. Mary began deleting posts. I printed everything, sealed it in an envelope. Lisa pulled me to the restroom. I labeled and backed up the file. Friends sent more leads. Kevin messaged another apology. I numbered each message with notes. Mary called, voice shaking. I uploaded backups to cloud storage. Lisa scrolled beside me. I shared the link with 2 trusted people. Friends started ignoring her in group chats. I texted my mother briefly. Mary showed up at my door shouting. I locked it, said nothing. Lisa patted my shoulder. Kevin clarified the truth in public. I saved screenshots to my archive. Friends looked uneasy at gatherings. I sent key photos to mutual contacts. Mary's mom scolded her on the phone. I compiled everything into one document. Lisa made tea in the kitchen. I sent the document to 3 witnesses. Friends quietly deleted old messages. I shared the timeline with a lawyer friend. Kevin blocked her on social media. The lawyer replied with advice. Friends tried to comfort the newlyweds. I drafted a public statement. Mary's mother texted begging. I saved it, decided later. Lisa commented softly. I asked the photographer for usage rights. Friends stopped accepting her invites. I sent the draft to 2 friends for review. Mary sent a crying selfie. I added it to evidence calmly. Lisa rolled her eyes. I decided to reveal the truth with restraint. Friends took sides. I wrote only facts and proof. Kevin's wife thanked me. I sent her the statement to check. Friends shared my evidence posts. Mary's career started shaking. She texted asking me to delete the post. I replied, truth is the evidence. Lisa stood by the window breathing deep. I posted the statement publicly. Friends commented with the raw photos. Mary's boss emailed for clarification. I forwarded him the screenshots. Friends drifted apart from her. I got supportive messages from strangers. Lisa sent emojis of approval. I gave backup copies to close friends. Kevin's relatives apologized privately. Friends changed their attitude. I made a downloadable evidence pack. Mary's clients questioned her ethics. Lisa sent a kind message in the group. I uploaded the pack to a mirror site. Friends avoided her dinners. A journalist messaged for interview. Mary's mother asked me to stop. I forwarded her message to the reporter. Friends responded with silence. Lisa and I drank bitter tea together. Kevin spoke publicly. I saved screenshots with timestamps. Friends defended me openly. I got supportive calls from colleagues. Mary's posts were filled with criticism. I wrote a short official reply. Friends used her story as a warning. I sent the reply to group chats. Lisa curated photos from that night. I got thank you emails from strangers. Friends turned her name into a joke. I told her former clients the truth. Kevin spoke up to his family. I bound all materials neatly. Friends discussed honesty at parties. A recruiter called. Mary's boss mentioned the case in a meeting. I logged every call. Friends showed sympathy and respect. I sorted all records by date. Mary kept changing accounts. Friends whispered about me in bars. I got an email ending her contract. Lisa whispered, good for you. I archived the email. Friends reposted my story. I scheduled a call with a PR friend. Mary's mother posted regret. Friends answered coldly. I recorded the call for backup. Lisa held me tighter that night. I did a written interview. Friends shared facts quietly. I proofread and published. Kevin's mother apologized. Friends praised my calmness. I received small gifts of support. Mary faced formal questioning at work. Friends spoke up for me publicly. I logged every conversation. Lisa brought me dried flowers. I met the journalist signed the release. Friends toasted for me at dinner. I sent evidence to lawyers. Mary's reputation collapsed. Friends kept sending advice. I uploaded contract documents. Kevin posted a wedding photo. Friends commented with my proof. I got a thank you email from a client. Lisa made me breakfast that night. I screenshot the letter. Friends supported me offline. I consulted about legal risks. Mary's job applications kept failing. Friends praised my composure. I shared legal notes with a few. Kevin's wife smiled in person. Friends discussed the price of honesty. I published the full timeline. Mary moved back with her parents. Friends rebuilt trust. I sent files to local news. Lisa joined me for an interview. I stated only facts. Friends clapped from the audience. More interviews followed. Mary's account got mass reported. Friends took me for coffee. I saved report logs. Kevin cut ties with her. Friends called me brave. I got new legal advice. Lisa shared a joke at midnight. I made offline backups. Friends quoted my case at events. Mary's father called to apologize. Friends distanced from her further. I archived her begging messages. Kevin posted public support. Friends' comments crushed her. I helped the photographer with copyright. Lisa made us sandwiches. I submitted photo timestamps to media. Friends shared the album. Former colleagues congratulated me. Mary lost 2 clients. Friends sent comfort gifts. I documented her shifting excuses. Kevin shared my proof as truth. Friends posted support. I reviewed legal options. Lisa walked with me on weekends. I stored files at the law firm. Friends said the story spread wide. I posted a closure statement. Mary's resistance weakened. Friends cheered in comments. I got reports on her career investigation. Lisa held my hand quietly. I synced updates with my lawyer. Friends filled chats with praise. A company invited me to speak. Mary's traffic dropped fast. Friends urged me to stay private. I spoke calmly at the talk. Kevin handed me a cup of water. I shared timeline screenshots. Friends applauded. I archived all material. Mary avoided people on the street. Friends discussed honesty again. I received more invitations. Lisa read my messages aloud. I compiled a fact handbook. Friends created a group to share lessons. I uploaded it to a public archive. Mary's references got withdrawn. Friends backed me openly. I got a court notice on defamation. Lisa showed it to me. I gave it to my lawyer. Friends shared advice. I sent all records to a news channel. Kevin and his wife thanked me. I stayed calm on camera. Friends gave thumbs up backstage. I got a letter of recognition. Lisa pinned it on our fridge. I saved a scan. Friends planned a celebration dinner. I declined some media calls. Mary's circle fell apart. Friends talked about future plans. I wrote a long article about it. Lisa helped edit. I submitted it to a finance magazine. Friends promised to attend the launch. The magazine accepted it. Mary's reputation ended completely. Friends supported me at the event. I announced an honesty lecture. Lisa smiled in the audience. I donated proceeds to an integrity fund. Friends spread the message. Kevin apologized publicly. Mary's career stopped. I donated all profits. Friends applauded. I was invited to speak at a university. Lisa prepared my notes. I told the whole story. Friends filmed and shared. More lectures followed. Kevin sat with his wife listening. I spoke with composure. Friends worked with the press. I gave lecture earnings to charity. Lisa organized my materials. I got a settlement proposal. Friends discussed strategy. I rejected unfair terms. Kevin thanked me privately. I made settlement details public. Friends said I was strong. I published a letter stating principles. Lisa saved every comment. I received industry recognition. Friends supported me offline. I handled all evidence transparently. Mary's life fell apart. Friends reminded me to rest. One night I compiled everything into a book. Lisa napped on the couch. I turned it into a manuscript. Friends pre-ordered. I joined radio interviews. Lisa edited one clip. I got positive feedback. Friends called it justice. I received an integrity award. Kevin watched proudly. I accepted calmly. Friends hugged me backstage. I dedicated it to truth and integrity. Lisa pulled me away after. I wrote my final note under the headline. Friends kept sharing my story. I signed a book contract. Mary failed her final interview. Friends celebrated. I smiled modestly at the signing. Kevin's wife gave me flowers. I placed them on my desk, wrote thanks. Friends raised glasses. I knew justice was done. Lisa said, "I'm proud of you." I smiled, breathed deep, and let go. Applause still echoing. I had finally won. Her world had finally fallen apart.